Good morning. I hope you guys can hear me well. All right. This is Phelan again with the Taylorsville Road Church of Christ. And I'm here again on this Tuesday morning on this wet and rainy day, um, which is still a blessed day, a privileged day because we're alive and we're above ground. Uh, I'm here to give you guys another daily dose of encouragement in this morning's lesson. I hope it gives you comfort. We're going to be coming from the book of Joshua, chapter 2. Chapter 2, verses 12 through 21. And so, if I would name this or title this short lesson, I would probably title this Belief in the Blood. Belief in the Blood. And even though this lesson doesn't specifically mention the blood of Jesus here, it's implied symbolically, through the passage that we're going to read. So let's go ahead and read the passage that's at hand, Joshua 2, verses 12 through 21, which reads as follows. Now, therefore, I beg you, swear to me by the Lord, since I have shown you kindness, that you also will show kindness to my father's house, and give me a true token, and spare my father, my mother, my brothers, my sisters, and all that they have, and deliver our lives from death. So the men answered her, our lives for yours. If none of you tell this business of ours, and it shall be when the Lord has given us the land, that we will deal kindly and truly with you. Then she let them down by a rope through the window, for her house was on the city wall. She dwelt on the wall, and she said to them, get to the mountain, lest the pursuers meet you. Hide there 3 days until the pursuers have returned. Afterward, you may go your way. So the men said to her, we will be blameless of this oath of yours, which you have made us swear, unless when we come into the land you bind this line of scarlet cord in the window through which you let us down, and unless you bring your father, your mother, your brothers, and all your father's household to your own home. So it shall be that whoever goes outside the doors of your house into the street, his blood shall be on his own head, and we will be guiltless. And whoever is with you in the house, his blood shall be on our head if a hand is laid on him. And if you tell this business of ours, then we will be free from your oath which you made us swear. Then she said, according to your word, so be it. And she sent them away, and they departed, and she bound the scarlet cord in the window. Now, just to give you a little bit of a background, you have had two spies that have come from the nation of Israel to go out and from the Acacia Grove to spy on the Promised Land, especially Jericho, and the land that they were going to possess, but more specifically Jericho. So when they got to Jericho, they came to the house of a harlot by the name of Rahab. And when they get to her house, they lodged there, and the king of Jericho has found out that the men were there in Rahab's house, in her home. And so they sent out men to go and pursue the spies. And so when they get to Rahab's home, they search for the men, not entirely throughout the house, but they go to her house and inquire of the men. And she lies and tells them that they had already left, that she didn't know who they were, and they had went outside of the city. And so the pursuers went after the two spies, and the whole time the two spies were on Rahab's roof. She had hid them, and so when the men went out, the pursuers went outside of the gate. She went up to the spies, and she talked to them. And let me tell you what she said. She said, "I know that the Lord has given you the land, that the terror of you has fallen on us, and that all the inhabitants of the land are faint-hearted because of you. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to the two kings of the Amorites who were on the other side of the Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom you utterly destroyed. And as soon as we heard these things, our hearts melted. Neither did there remain any more courage in us, in anyone, because of you. For the Lord your God, He is God in heaven above and on earth beneath. Now, therefore, I beg you, swear to me by the Lord, since I have shown you kindness, that you also will show kindness to my father's house and give me a true token." So the here's the thing. She knows who these spies are serving. She knows God, and she understands that God is the God of heaven and earth. And so she fears God, and she wants mercy. She wants mercy. And so for my words of encouragement this morning, I want us to understand that as Christians, as representatives of Jesus, and ultimately God, we are sent out into this world not to condemn the world, not to judge the world, but to save the world, just as Jesus said his mission was. And so, with that being said, when we go out into the world, many might be afraid of us as Christians because they fear that their sins will catch up to them. But there are those who desire mercy, those who don't want to die, those who want to be saved, and they are just like Rahab. And Rahab was a harlot; she was a prostitute, but she desired mercy. So anyone can have mercy if they desire it. And so one of the main points I wanted to point out in this lesson was the fact that this harlot put trust into a scarlet rope, a scarlet cord. In order for her to be saved, the spies told her that she should have a scarlet rope bound in her window, so that when they came back to destroy the city, they would know which house to spare. And you know that kind of reminds us of the Passover, right? So all of those who had the blood on their doorposts, the death angel will pass over the house, right? The death angel will pass over the house and spare that house. So they remind you of that. But also, he tells her, if you want your mothers, your brothers, and your sisters, and your father to be saved, they all need to be in that house where their blood, where that blood, or scarlet robe. I'm sorry, that scarlet robe is. And so when we see that scarlet robe again, we know which house to spare. And so that kind of reminds me of also the ark, being in that ark of safety, when Noah had to cross the flood, when God destroyed the earth, everyone that was in that boat was saved. And so this is a story of salvation. This is a story of passing over one's life in order for that person not to see death, or that family not to see death. And so for Christians, this also is a reminder of us that if we continue to abide in the blood of Jesus, and we continue to partake of the blood of Jesus, we are continually signifying and indicating our allegiance to God, and in hopes that God will spare our lives. And so there's so much I can say about this passage, but I can't be too long. So I hope that you get the message. But one thing I do want to add is, let's go into every city, wherever we are. Let's find a place to bind a scarlet rope, because there are some and many in every place who desire mercy. and we should have a scarlet rope hanging from that person's window, and we should have blood smeared on their doorsteps or on their doorposts, wherever, as long as they are in the blood of Jesus. So thank you guys for tuning in for a dose of encouragement. Please share this video. Please comment. Please like these videos. Help them to get attention so that we can continue to spread the gospel. I hope that you guys have a good, wet, and blessed day. Take care.